name is Terry.
And I'm Brian.
And we're from Stitch House at So Dallas.
And today we're going to show you the Dallas block. However, Terry, before you go any farther, Upper Brass has put in some rules before we can even start this.
Okay.
And I am told that before I'm able to do anything that I have to put my parental advisory up. So this show is rated PG-13 because I will be hosting it. Terry, we've got several complaints for you, so your parental advisory is NC-17. If you don't fit, head to the other station. So what block are we doing today, Terry?
Today we're doing the Dallas block. And inside your kit you have gotten a sheet of paper that has a diagram and the 3 pieces that we'll be using. And then you would have gotten your pieces.
All of these wonderful cutout pieces that you did by QUILT. And it took you had to cut out thousands of pieces. It took you a good couple days to do that. So thank you, Terry, for doing that.
You're welcome, and I'm enjoying my life. That's So Dallas.
So we're enjoying having him.
You'll have 4 white half-square rectangles. You'll have 1 of each color. And then you'll have 4 half-square white triangles, and you'll have 1 of each color of your triangles.
Okay, and then we're going to end up with
this block.
This block right here.
And
so this is the Dallas block. It's the Dallas block for several reasons. One, I think first and foremost, Dallas is kind of the heartbeat of the city here. It's where we started. It's what the store used to be called. But really, if you want my opinion on why we called this the Dallas block, it's because this resembles all Dallas highways. Complete confusion, circular traffic going in all different directions, and half the lanes are under construction at all times.
I would have to agree with that. When you're watching the block as we're piecing it together, I want you to pay close attention to who actually made this block.
Who did that block?
Brian made this block,
yes.
And you're going to really enjoy it.
It's true, and not even through the magic of editing, the block was created. So if I can do it, I'm quite certain that just about any of you can do it. However, in order to do this, we had our selection of anything, right?
Yes. We could have sewed on many machines, but today we chose the M7.
Why did we pick the M7?
For various reasons, and I want Brian to show you one of the most important reasons, and that is the superior feed system that you can get on the M7 and other Janome machines.
So I picked the M7 because, quite honestly, it's one of my favorite machines in the store. Aside from the enormous workspace, the most powerful domestic machine on the planet, the fastest one on the planet, I like it because when it comes to piecing, I think that the upper feed dog system, the AccuFeed system, is bar none the best on the planet. And it makes somebody like me, who's not a professional, look relatively good. So let me show you what I'm talking about. We're going to go from there, and then we're going to head right over to our tissue paper. What you'll notice on here is that it's working as a traditional sewing machine. Feed dogs come up, presser feet comes down, and it pulls the tissue paper. So you might have heard me reference in the store or a lot of times on the video that I love to piece with an M7, and it's the upper feed system, and this is why. I didn't just stitch on denim to tissue paper to show you that you don't have to adjust any pressure, anything like that. I did it because I want you to notice the puckering, and the tissue paper really exacerbates the puckering that happens with two feed dogs and the presser foot come down. However, with the M7, we've got a really great feature, which is to activate those upper feed dogs. They ask me if I have the right plate on. I do. So now I'm going to go a little slower just to show you. Do you see the feet coming down? What that's doing is that's grabbing the fabric like this and pulling it through. And unless you have the M7, I wouldn't try this at home unless you have a lot of tissue paper to spare. But look at the difference. Look at that. Without your feed dogs, you see all of this puckering. So you can imagine if I'm piecing a long run together, 120 inches or so, that I'm going to have such a large male alignment. Nothing we can do about it, except to activate this and just get that beautiful, perfect stitch.
Okay, so today Bryan and I have laid out our pieces for our Dallas block. We have 4 white squares which are in the corners. We have 4 half square triangles that are white, and you'll see those. And we have 1 half square of each color, gold, green, and blue. And then we have this half rectangle, and we have them in 1 of each solid color and then 1 of the white. And so what we're going to do is we're going to be piecing all of this block together for you today. So the important thing about these QUILT blocks is that when we cut the piece on the QUILT, this section here is exactly 1/4 inch. So once we layer these two together, we sew with 1/4 inch, and then we press it open. If you use a scant 1/4 inch, your thread will not come to this point, and so your pieces won't line up as you get more into the block, and then sometimes you'll have a wonky block. And so it's important that you set your machine for 1/4 inch and not a scant 1/4 inch. Split this block up into 4 particular squares. Each square is going to be put together the same way. We'll take a half square triangle to create a square. And so once we sew this together, it's going to be a square. We'll take this square and sew it onto this square, which will equal the same distance of this rectangle. Once we sew these 2 pieces together, we'll sew this rectangle to this rectangle and to get a square. And that will just be repeated 3 more times.
Very straightforward. So we go ahead and put the flatter on. I'm going to go ahead and press that. And you're right, the smell of fig is actually pretty nice. I got to tell you, Terry, in our close quarters, I might not mind hitting you up with a spray of fig nuts. So we flattened our surfaces here.
Yep.
And we're going to use our wonderful little baby iron. I'm not left-handed, but that's how we're set up here.
Beautiful.
Wonderful. So flip this over. Terry's got a beautiful little block made. Now let's go ahead and show them how to put those 2 on here.
Okay, so the next piece we're going to do is these 2 rectangles. And one of the things you want to take a look at when you line these 2 up is that it actually lines exactly up with the 2 pieces. Same length, same angles. And then when you start to sew, it's right here at this little outside crop, and that's 1/4 inch. And so when you sew those together, you'll have a perfect 1/4 inch. No scants, always a 1/4 inch. So what we're going to do is we're going to sew this square to this square, right sides together. And at the end, see how perfect that is? And then when you get over here, you're going to chain piece the rest of these.
Oh, one of my favorite things to do. It's very relaxing, and I feel like in these times, we need to find as much relaxing stuff to do as possible.
Yep.
Don't tell Jessica that I enjoy ironing, though. That's going to be between us, please.
Equal rectangles. And we're going to sew these together to make a square. So we are rocking and rolling.
All right.
It's time to chain piece.
Now we're going to chain piece. Why do we have a straight stitch plate, which I appreciate. So typically I'm right-handed, but I'll show you with this hand just to show you how easily the plate goes on and off. So those are one of my favorite features on this machine. Like I was saying, I was chain piecing the other day, and I did about 8 or 9 pieces before I realized I ran out of bobbin thread. That doesn't happen with this machine. The nice thing is that it has a laser sensor that lets me know once I get between 22 and 23 inches. Go ahead, and I'm going to put my upper feed dog system on, as well as my pivot.
What function is that? That makes the foot come up.
Oh, would you like, well, that's the pivot function. That's great. I love this one because it cuts down on the number of steps that I'm doing. So if you notice, my presser foot has come up, my needle has dropped down, but something that's really nice is that my feed dogs also drop. So I have total freedom. That's great when I'm doing applique, if I'm doing chain piecing. So one of the features that I love about this machine is when you're doing your chain work or your chain piecing, go to patch piecework, set that in there. Tell it, yep, I've got the exact same size. Stick it in there. And then what you'll notice is the machine is going to stop automatically for me. That's not me letting up on the presser foot. That is the machine saying you've reached the end of your block. We've got our quilt provisionally laid out, our block set up, and now we're ready to start piecing this baby right together. Yep. What do you think, Terry? How's that look?
Looks pretty good. I think it's going to turn out wonderfully.
Just remember, with the right education, the right machine, and the right instructor, just about anybody in the world can do this. Actually, I take that back. I'd say anybody in the world can do this.
Yes.
Just a matter of how nicely it's going to turn out.
Mm-hmm.
How many people notice the mistakes you make? Well, okay, I'll take that back. He doesn't make mistakes. No one notices my mistakes.
Not that anybody knows.
Because you don't point them out.
I don't point them out.
Perfect.
Never point them out.
Never, ever.
3 more blocks. So we'll sew the square to this half square triangle, this rectangle to this rectangle, and we'll have 4 of these.
Okay.
This little hair right here.
Mm-hmm.
If I take this, it'll pull the whole thing out. And then you're able to erase it.
I
it's
love
a stitch eraser.
Yeah. We are.
So Bryan did his last seam right down the center. Look at the point.
Oh, that doesn't match up pretty decently. Admittedly, I have to give most of the credit to the machine and the rest of it to Terry for great tutelage. And other than that, I would say flatter didn't hurt. Well, we just finished. What do you think, Terry?
I think it's awesome.
I think we should do this again.
I think we will.
What?
We'll tell you that we do have 5 more coming to you.
So along with Stitch House, hashtag stay safe, stay off of MySpace, get on Facebook, follow us on YouTube, and come, if you enjoy these videos, give it a thumbs up. We enjoy it and we check it. Thanks.